Hi, my name is Sam Johnson and I am a voice teacher. I'm going to be reacting to and analyzing Tool performing Sober at Reading Festival in 1993. I'm gonna do that with my hair probably next week.
There's a shadow just behind me, shouting every step I take, making every promise empty, pointing every finger at me, waiting like a stalking butler, who upon the finger rests, murdered now the battle must be, just because the sun has come. Mother Mary, won't you whisper something but the past and done? Mother Mary, won't you whisper something but the past and done?
He's so good. That was up to an A and a B flat, and it had the exact same sound that his voice had for his lower notes. It's just pitched up a little bit higher, just like how with the piano, there are different sizes of strings, but the overall sound is that of the same piano. The same thing is happening with Maynard, where his high notes, he's not overly thinning them out. He's just keeping the same amount of resistance and pretty similar amount of thickness to his chords. And then he's also keeping his vowels really the same from what his lower notes are. So the result is that he's singing this note that usually sounds like really, really hard, but it just sounds easy for him. And then someone goes to sing along with it and you're like, oh no, this is actually hard, because he makes it look so effortless.
Why we not be sober? Just want to stop this over. Why can't we sleep forever? Just want to stop this over.
He's also a really good example of someone who I've heard that he had really bad stage fright and that it was just like really bad anxiety every time he'd go to perform, where he had to even face away from the audience. And that's really hard, but through practice, I mean, he's at least able to do it and not let it affect his voice. I don't know what strategies he's adopted, but usually with just time, if it's something that you love, if performing is something that you love and singing is something that you love, you're kind of able to get through that kind of stuff. I don't know if he's had outside help with it or therapy or if any medications or anything, but it's really cool to see that someone who I'm pretty sure had really bad anxiety and stage fright is able to do it and perform in front of thousands of people.
Just a wordless liar. I am just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and all is well. I will find a center in you.
He also just looks so relaxed right now. I know he's like kind of hunched over and people are always about with noble posture when they're singing and stuff. You don't have to. And you see really great opera singers who move around and they're singing these incredible things while they're moving, and they're not always in this perfect position. You see him, he's right like this. You see other great singers who are able to dance. It's just finding a place of balance, and usually people are able to feel what good singing feels like if you're lined up a little bit better. But once you know what it feels like, it's just holding on to that feeling. Sure, if he was having any troubles or something, that might be something to look at, but it's totally possible to sing while you're in different positions, and he's proven it.
I will shoot it up and leave. I will work to elevate you. Just enough to bring it down. Mother Mary, won't you whisper something but the past
And it's still such a narrow vowel at the top. Something about the pat rather than something out. And that's one of the reasons that he's able to keep it sounding like his low voice, even though it's up at that A or the B flat. It's incredible, and he has a ton of power with it, but it's not from pulling up chest voice. It's by letting the feeling move up a little bit, but not letting go. So that's a thing that's kind of confusing for a lot of people, is letting the feeling move up into your head, so that it is head voice because you're feeling it up in your head, but you're not letting go. That's the thing that kind of gets coupled together a lot of times when people are learning to sing, is as you go to high notes, it flips. It goes like, ah, and then the high notes, they all sound a little bit different. But what he's doing is allowing his vocal cords to stay together as he goes to those higher notes, so there's not that moment where it flips. The sensation still has to move up because there's a change in dominance of which muscle is being used the most, and the resulting feeling is just that it's going to move up a little bit, but there's still a sense of connection, a sense of holding on. And then he's starting to add in some distortion. He's just kind of going into overdrive with everything, but his mouth is actually the same. You can see there is a little bit of extra tension, but that's what he's doing to create this sound. It's not going to be a perfectly balanced looking exhibit of how to sing. There's going to be some weird stuff going on sometimes, and that's what he's doing with that. But he's not throwing out all of his vocal technique to go get that sound. He's just getting really intense with it. So he's still connected to what it feels like to sing good. He's such an interesting performer.
Just a worthless liar. I'm just an imbecile. I will only complicate you. Trust in me and fall as well. I will find a center in you. I will chew it up and leave. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. I can't wait not be so.
I really love that last part because it kind of drops out all of the instruments where he's singing some of it a cappella or with just a little bit of guitar or a little bit of drums, but he's maintaining this pulse. He's staying right in this rhythmic pocket. The entire song is able to still feel like it's moving, because if you fall out of rhythm, everything gets messy, and that's a thing that a lot of singers neglect, is rhythm. So I think it's super valuable for people who are wanting to be better singers to go pick up some other instruments. Learn guitar, learn how to play rhythm guitar, because then you can accompany yourself. Learn piano, learn drums. Like, all of those things will just help increase your musical ability in ways that you can't get by just practicing voice. Well, you can get it, but learning instruments like that really makes you focus on rhythm a lot more than pretty much anyone teaches with voice. And I think that that's super important because it allows you to keep the integrity of a song moving when things like this happen. Bit of distortion on it, even though it's a lower note. A lot of the times you hear him go to the distorted sound when he goes to some of those higher notes. It's just a little bit easier to add in a fry scream rather than having to growl with it. At least that's how I've felt it with my own voice. But it's kind of cool that he was singing this lower note and he still added a little bit of that distorted sound on top of it. It's interesting. A lot of people have been commenting, asking if I have perfect pitch, if I can hear a note and just know exactly where it is, and I do not. And he's kind of throwing me off like crazy with it, because even though I've listened to him a lot, it's still, he sounds so similar through his range. And most of the time what I listen to is like people sound different as they go towards high notes or when they go to low notes, or there are places in the voice where people tend to sound a certain way. With him, he's kind of breaking those. It's like he's singing so well that I am having a hard time placing where he is, like what notes he's singing, and I'm just jumping all over the place with it, because he's not letting the pitch that he's choosing influence the tone that he's choosing. He's having what tone that he wants come first, and then that tone just gets applied to whatever pitch he's singing, whatever he wrote for the song. That's a cool performance. I've never seen them live, and I would love to. He's such an interesting performer and just an interesting guy, and it shows through in the music that they write. It's really complex instrumentally, and it's complex lyrically. There's just so much complexity, and I think that it stems from their ability to be honest as musicians, because they're not trying to be something that they're not. They just found how they can let this genre tell the stories that they're wanting to tell and express themselves in the way that they're expressing. But it's super authentic. And I think that Maynard is just one of the best singers in this genre, where he just sounds like himself no matter what note he's singing. He has unbelievable breath control with his distortion and with everything. He's just really good at that and very in control of his instrument. And I think that maybe that kind of control and knowing exactly what's going to happen and then just repetitions through it is probably how he was able to start getting more comfortable in front of crowds. Because if you're feeling a little bit nervous about going in front of crowds, that's the benefit of a good technical background, because you know what you can trust and what you can't trust, and then you can make decisions towards those things that you can trust. And when you go into a performance knowing that you can trust certain things that you're going to do, it's no longer scary. And so having that kind of repetitive background is really good. And I don't know if he's taken lessons, but it sounds like he just has such facility over his instrument, and I think it's awesome. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Go check out my description below, where there's a link to my Patreon, to my Instagram, and if you're interested in signing up for voice lessons over Skype or FaceTime, go check out my website, vocalease.net. Thank you.